Hello and welcome to the show. Now, I have always been a pretty large fan of the Alfa Romeo 8C. I think it is a fantastically good looking car. Although when it comes to driving, it is not perhaps the best that there is out there. I would still very much like to have one, but yeah, it might not be the greatest handling vehicle of all time. And I personally haven't really driven very much of it in Forza 6, so I decided to change it. And naturally, that would be by doing a silly car build on it, as we can have the good old V10 in this. The standard engine isn't bad, don't get me wrong. The standard engine is pretty decent. We can supercharge it and so on, but we're not quite going to get the same levels of power out of it as we can with the V12. So that is where we are going to go for our horsepower. It will be, by the time we're finished with it, producing almost 1,200, which is a lot. And a lot for a car that is, not perhaps the best suited to deal with it. Admittedly, it is perhaps better than a fair few vehicles that I have stuck the 1,200 horsepower in, so potentially we could see quite a quick time. But that is quite a potentially from this vehicle. 275s at the front. Very nice big front tyres, and we are going to have 315s at the rear. Not the largest we've seen, but pretty decent. We should be able to put the power down relatively well. And let's not forget, this is a little bit of a heavier car, and that can often give us that little bit more stability. And that can also be very useful when tackling an incredibly wet circuit. We're top of S-Class, and we are at 870 horsepower, near enough. That's quite a lot of power going on. That's with full race tyres as well at the top of S-Class. Brakes shall be going on next. Weight reduction will take us down probably to around the £3,000 mark, which, yeah, it's in the kind of it's perhaps a little bit heavier end of the nice zone whereby a car is still light enough to accelerate like crazy, but not so light that it gets very skittish over the bumps like we have seen. A lot of the classic race cars have had big issues when it came to the bumps up towards the first corner, and just in general putting down the power. This, I don't foresee us having that much of an issue. In fact, it is almost spot on the £3,000 mark once we have got that weight reduction going on. To the engine now, and we are getting our way through R class. I don't think we're quite going to see this up into P, unfortunately, although it's going to be fairly decent, and I'm hoping I can make the most of the power that we are going to have. There will be a lot of it. Come on, game, we can get... There we go. We can install the race ignition eventually. Exhaust is going to save us some weight. Admittedly, it is only going on to an already very high performance engine, so there's not as big a weight drop from the exhaust. Camshafts will jump us over the 1,000 horsepower mark. The PI, we're going to get fairly close to the P class. This might be quite quick in a straight line, I would think. Again, we're not quite going to probably challenge the likes of the Jaguar D-Type, but might still be pretty damn good. The intercooler will be the final upgrade for affecting the weight massively in this. If we're going to keep it under 3,000, we're not going to keep it under £3,000. The flywheel will bring us down a little bit in terms of weight, but it's not going to be massive. There we go, £3,043, 1,200 near enough horsepower in the Alfa Romeo 8C. Let's see if it can hold it all together around a very wet circuit. And of course, the circuit in question is the Virginia International Raceway, the Patriot alternate layout to be specific. I will have 5 laps around here to try and get the Alfa Romeo to go as fast as possible. Now, the very fastest car around this track is the Toyota Camry NASCAR 107.0. I don't think we're quite going to be up to challenging the Toyota, although we could well see it in the top 10. We might see it in the 108. Hell, the Diablo did a 107.6, and that was a lower PI than this. The Lamborghini, you really could make the most of the power in that car. So there is potential, I think, for this to go quite quickly. if it can be controlled. Jesus, it does accelerate quickly. It accelerates very quickly up towards this first turn, and the traction off of the line isn't too bad when you have this much power going through the rear wheels and you're trying to use it in the wet. It is always going to spin the wheels an amount, but yeah, pretty composed. All being said, a little bit understeery through these medium speed corners. Trying to maintain the corner speed through here could be the tricky part. Oh, that's going to get twitchy on me. But the back end letting go actually helped the car make the very, very tight chicane turn there. Kind of got away with that one. Of course, we're going to slide. Everything has been sliding through that section, and I am far too late on the brakes. We're going a little bit exploring on the outside of that corner. We're going to have to get on the brakes nice and early, I think, down here, though. The speed in this car is pretty damn impressive. Oh, quite terrifying, in fact, because it's got the 1,200 horsepower and it has the traction on the most part to use it. Up into fourth gear now, and we can be flat out in the Alfa Romeo. It's very fast down here, 187 miles an hour. Oh, it's only beaten by a couple of cars. The Alfa Romeo 33, the only vehicle to hit 200 miles an hour plus and still get stopped for the first corner. And the HP V12 are the only cars to have gone faster than this in a straight line. That is a hell of a speed it can get up to. But the rest of the lap is technical. This circuit is a nasty one, and these medium speed corners really got to be patient. Now, don't let the back end step out of line. This time, much neater on our run through there. Try and be careful on the power. Yeah, we managed to keep it all neatly under control. Now, we have braked nice and early. Actually got the car turned in very nicely through this. So much acceleration on the exit of that corner. In fact, I know the speeds that it's capable of. I'm now being a little bit cautious under brakes into this final corner. Third gear is good out of that last turn. Here we go towards the line of 109.2 on our first flying lap with the car. Yeah, it's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good, although we've really got to... Brakes aren't the best, I will be honest. I daren't look. I knew I'd left it a little later to get slowed down this time around. I daren't look. I had no idea what speed that got up to. Thinking it was quite fast, though, before trying to get it slowed down. This is where it loses time. This is where the likes of the Lamborghini Diablo was so very fast. To an extent, the Hot Wheels Mustang. This will out-accelerate the pair of them easily, but it can't quite carry that same speed, I don't think, through these medium speed corners. I'm still trying to do what I can with the vehicle. Again, up this section, that is a big oversteery corner. I can control it, but it's how much time we lose in having to manage all of that. Big twitch across the puddle again. I'm a little early on the brakes, but at least it does mean that I can be neat and tidy through here. Definitely want third gear out of that final corner. A little bit of a short shift up into fourth, and we can put plenty of power down. Yeah, I think that big twitch across the puddle cost me a little bit in all of that. It's still looking about 187 miles an hour before jumping on the brakes, and I really cannot push that anymore into turn one. That is absolutely spot on through that section. I'm going to try keeping it in third through here as well. I mean, this engine's got more than enough torque, more than enough power to propel itself out of the other side in third. Wouldn't probably want it to be in the higher gear. I've got to remember, still got two very big turbos. Ooh, we don't want turbo lag to be causing problems. That bloody puddle on the inside. Whenever I go, I should have a slight lapse of memory. I go to take that tighter line, forget about the puddle being there. It just flicks the car sideways. We've got stacks of time with that one. Now, try and be neat and tidy through here. I've not been. I was faffing about with gears and we missed the braking. Oh, we're going to have one more lap. We're going to have one more lap to try and find some time in this car. It is not the easiest around these corners, that is for sure. There is a lot of understeer. There's a lot of understeer going on in here, and I think it is just struggling that little bit too much. But here we go for the honour of the Alfa Romeo 8C. Another big stop here. It's so on the limit of what the car can do, and in fact it isn't quite as neat through this opening section as I would like. I was way to the left under braking there. I thought I was going to end up on the grass while I tried to slow the car down, and that is not what you want. You do not want to be on the grass while trying to slow the car down. Oh, I tried to just glance my way past the puddle. I didn't quite get it right, but it wasn't as terrible as it could have been. That was a neater middle sector this time around. Still not as quick though. Still lost time in that middle sector. Get it slowed down once more through here. We are maybe all going to find a big twitch through the puddle. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm going to try and bring it under control. It is just not good enough through the corners, the Alfa Romeo. It has got glorious straight line speed, some incredible acceleration going on in this, and decent traction. We just don't have the corner grip. I just can't carry the speed. I did find a big amount of time through that first sector, I think up to 7/10 at one point, and then lost it all again through. Obviously, that flying lap, I did a really bloody good job through that middle sector because I couldn't go quicker. And yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a shame. It is a little bit of a shame, in all honesty, with the 8C, because yeah, the traction is impressive. That straight line speed is phenomenal, but you just can't carry the corner speed. And in trying to push the car to make up lap time is where little mistakes creep in. The puddles cause big problems for the Alfa. In fact, probably some of the biggest problems we've seen in a car for some time, especially the puddle towards that penultimate corner. Can't say I've ever had such a big off through there. Still, its lap time is not too shabby. I said it might go into the top 10, and indeed it does. It will go into 10th place, the 109.2, putting it ahead of the Porsche 718, faster than the Aston Martin Vanquish, Cadillac CTS-V, BMW M6, although it does lose out to the McLaren 570S, Lotus Type 49. The Alfa Romeo 33, despite being a completely wild car, is still the fastest Alfa Romeo around here. Yeah, little bit of a shame for the 8C, I will be honest. However, we're now going to find out how fast it will go at a straight line, and if its speed here is anything to go by, it could be pretty damn good. Now that of course means bringing the 8C to Le Mans. Having the, well, most powerful engine that can be swapped into cars is always good. When it comes to speed running, we can probably expect to see 244 with this kind of default setup, 250 plus, possibly 260. I think that might be pushing our luck a little bit. The gear ratio is perhaps a little short from standard. 259, there we go. 260 I think would be asking quite a lot of the 8C. But that is still not going to be bad in terms of straight line speed. See what we can do. Is likely to be perhaps a little bit of a handful through these opening few corners here at Le Mans. So they're going to have to be wary of the understeer is... I think there's two things going on. One, the understeer is quite bad, and two, the car is going really bloody fast into these corners. So I'm not quite at the same speed sort of turning in as I am expecting it to be in comparison to other vehicles that have gone. But yeah, it is a little bit on the understeery side as we work our way through these turns. Now, the bumps, I suspect, won't cause an issue. We saw no problems on the run-up towards Turn 1 at Virginia, so I would suspect this corner here you can still get in trouble with. Like any car can get in trouble across them bumps. We are past, and now it is on to the straights. The incredible acceleration. That's 195 before we leave the corner. That's almost on par with some of those classic race cars, up to 235 miles an hour. And you've got to bear in mind, this car is not light. This car is not light at all. It is doing a really good job accelerating that quickly. 250 miles an hour. We are past. How close to that 260 mark can we get? 255. Come on, car. Some more miles an hour would be nice. 256. One more. There we go. 257 miles an hour as we round the kink. Car very, very composed through that turn. Indeed, I don't even think it left the ground, which is nice. 254 after the corner. I'm going to get on the brakes because I don't quite trust the brakes in the Alfa Romeo. 257 miles an hour is some seriously, seriously good going for this car. I quite like it. I mean, I do like the I like the 8C. I quite like it as a car to drive. In some ways, that acceleration is awesome. It's just that bit too much. I'm trying to carry quarter speed. That bit too much understeer. Even for me, I'd rather the car be understeery like this than be horrendously oversteery. Yes. But in trying to carry quarter speed, it is quite difficult in this vehicle. The brakes also aren't the most amazing, or perhaps I should say it is a heavier car, and of course struggling a little bit more to get slowed down. However, 257 miles an hour is really bloody good going. I've just seen where it goes on the table. It goes into the top 10, it goes into 8th place. It beats the Porsche Carrera GT. The Carrera had 1,300 horsepower. You know, it's got 100 and a bit more than this the Alfa Romeo will beat it. It's only really beaten by the exception of the Veyron SS, is only beaten by the crazy classic race cars. Jaguar D-Type, Alfa Romeo 33, Ferrari 250 LM, Porsche 550 Spider. Well, they got the Chrysler's Rocket as well. That's a little bit of a different thing, in the Lotus 11. So the Veyron is the only sort of really modern / comparable car to the 8C, and yeah, I think this is a hell of a showing in terms of straight line speed for the 8C, and a hell of a showing in terms of acceleration at Virginia, but the lack of handling, the lack of front end grip did really, really let the car down. However, that is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.